Hello and welcome to the analysis of the Hindu newspaper dated December 25th, 2022. In this video, we are going to talk about two important newspaper articles. These articles have been taken from the Hindu newspaper dated December 25th, and they are going to be very important, very significant for the civil services examination. So let's discuss this particular newspaper articles. So the first important newspaper article is regarding what is known as Purse Seines or Purse Seine fishing. Now this article becomes very important, very significant for the GS paper 3, that is conservation, environmental pollution and degradation environmental impact assessment, right? So let's deep dive into this particular article. We are going to understand what is Purse Seine fishing, and we are also going to understand what are the arguments in favor of Purse Seine fishing, and we are going to discuss arguments against Purse Seine fishing, right? So this article says that an ongoing case in the Supreme Court to decide whether the ban that several states have imposed on Purse Seine fishing is justified or not, and it has revealed the fault lines between small, marginal and large fishers, with the center and states also taking different sides on the issue. Now different sides have been taken on the issue, and the big fishermen support Purse Seine fishing, and small fishermen, traditional fishermen, do not support Purse Seine fishing. Now Purse Seine fishing is basically popular on the Indian western coast and uses large vertical nets to surround dense shoals of pelagic or mid-water fish in the open ocean and then draw in the edges, like tightening the cords of the drawstring. So basically this is complicated, right? Purse Seine fishing. Let me explain it with a figure, right? So this is basically the net which is basically enclosed in order to surround a school of the fish. First you have to locate the school of fish, and then you tighten the rope around them. So this basically catches a lot of fish, and basically in the traditional fishing you are not able to catch these kinds of fish. Now Purse Seine fishing is a large wall of netting deployed around an entire area or school of fish, and the seine has floats along the top line, with a lead line is threaded through rings along the bottom, and once a school of fish is located, a skiff encircles the school with the net. The lead line is then pulled in, pursing the net closed on the bottom, preventing fish from escaping by the swimming downwards. Basically this particular net, this is the drawstring, right? So this drawstring is pulled, and this particular whole entire net comes above, so that fishes are not able to escape this particular purse, right? So this is Purse Seine fishing, and the Purse Seine fishing is basically, and the catch is harvested by either hauling the net aboard or bringing it alongside the vessel, and the Purse Seines can reach more than 6,500 feet, that is 2,000 meter in length, and 650 feet, that is 200 meter in depth, varying in size according to the vessel, mesh size, and as well as the target species. Now finding a school of fish is one of the most difficult steps of this particular fishing technique, and it includes natural cues such as congregation of the seabirds, ruffling of the surface water, or fast moving groups of dolphins. So these are basically the indications of whether a school of fish is present there or not. Apart from it, helicopters is scanning the water for the natural cues from the direct air to direct board towards the schooling fish. Now basically this is not practiced in India, helicopters in order to scan the waters, but it is used in the foreign countries like the United States, right? And using radar fish finders to help identify the exact location and the size of a school is also done in this case, but in case of India this is not done, and this poses a lot of problem because you are not able to catch a particular variety of the fish. You are able to catch a lot of varieties of the fish. Now in this case what happens is that juvenile fishes which are not ready to be fished right now are also caught in this particular net, and this presents a lot of problem. So there are various arguments that the stakeholders have presented against Purse Seine. So in some states basically it is linked to concerns about decreasing stock of small pelagic shoaling fish such as sardines, mackerel, aquavives and Trevally on the western coast, and fishermen using traditional methods have placed the blame of fall in the fish catch on the rise in the Purse Seine fishing, and a fear of further fall in the availability of these particular small fish if the ban is lifted is also there. So there are various concerns by the traditional holders, and apart from it, a major concern is the dwindling availability of the oil sardines, a favorite of the Kerala fish eaters. And in 2021, Kerala has recorded a catch of about 3,297 ton of sardines, which is a sharp decrease from the 3.9 lakh ton in the 2012, right? So this decline is happening, but the environmentalist or all the other people are also saying, they have also their arguments. They say basically that this is the effect of the El Ninos, but the traditional fish workers blame Purse Seines for this particular decrease. All right, so now there are various arguments in favor of the Purse Seine as well. For example, the first argument which is presented is that it is more scientific way of catching the fish, and the second argument is that it is the best and the most efficient gear to catch small shoaling sea fish. And the argument in favor is also that the controversy against using this gear is due to jealousy in the certain quarters, because traditional fishers are not able to catch that amount of fish which Purse Seines are able to catch, and this is basically the pure jealousy of the traditional fishermen, right? So these are the arguments which have been presented in favor of the using the Purse Seines. So but what is the present state of affairs right now regarding the Purse Seines? So basically, the trade unions working among the fish workers urged the center to release the expert committee report that is it depended on to prepare its affidavit against the ban. And apart from it, both the Kerala and the Tamil Nadu governments have decided to file petitions in the Supreme Court on the matter. And if we talk about the ban on the purse fishing, then the ban is currently implemented on the territorial waters of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Puducherry, Odisha, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, and Andaman and Nicobar Islands up to 12 nautical miles. And states such as Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Goa, Karnataka, West Bengal have not imposed any such ban on the Purse Seine fishing. And Maharashtra has issued some orders to regulate, but there is no ban on Purse Seine fishing in its territorial waters. So this is the present state of affairs. But what we need to know is what can be the way forward. So basically, the expert committee must be set up to examine both sides of the argument and give their own opinions regarding it. And a more sustainable approach needs to be taken in the fishing industry, and we need to also bring about certainty in the policy making regarding the fisheries sector, because the policies regarding the fishing are not very uniform across the country. The states need to talk to each other regarding these particular regulations, right? So this is it regarding this particular newspaper article. Let's now talk about the next important newspaper article. Now this particular newspaper article is basically the summary of what happened in this year regarding the India's foreign policy. Now this article becomes very important for the GS paper 2, that is international relations, India and its neighborhood relations, bilateral, regional and global groupings and agreements involving India or affecting India's interest, right? So let's talk about this particular newspaper article in detail. So this article says that by all standards, 2022 was a difficult year on the geopolitical and diplomatic stage, because Russia's invasion of Ukraine led to India taking the sides, right, in some way or the other. But all the countries took the sides, but India chose not to take sides. So for India, the choices grew more difficult given its strategic ties with the United States and Europe and traditional ties with the Russia, right? And the most significant defense of India's foreign policy was made by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, who won accolades back home for calling out Western hypocrisy on Russian oil flows to India. So basically what happened is that the Russians were giving the oil for cheap, or they are giving the oil for cheap right now as well. So S. Jaishankar said that if India is taking the oil from the Russia and West is calling it out, then it is the hypocrisy of the West. This was basically the statements which were made by S. Jaishankar, right? However, the government continues to take criticism over its China policies and the standoff at the line of actual control. Now, the Ukraine crisis was handled by India very well. The war in Ukraine saw the government spell out version of non-alignment as it sought to keep a balance in the growing polarization between the United States and the European Union on one side and Russia on the other. Now this non-alignment thing happened in the 1950s as well, when there was a bipolar world, that is United States and the Russia, Soviet Union. Back then, Russia was called the Soviet Union. So India had to take sides, but India did not take sides, and it formed its independent foreign policy, which was basically based on the principles of non-alignment, right? So India spelled out its version of the non-alignment. It chose not to take sides, right? And in the past 10 months, the war has led to thousands of deaths and nearly 8 million refugees. Meanwhile, a slew of sanctions by the West meant to target the Russian economy led to fuel and food shortages and price increases, which worried India, right? And the government's stand throughout through the year was a tight rope walk, with Prime Minister making his discomfort with the war clear directly to the Russian President Vladimir Putin, and he told that straightforward that this era is not for war. But at the same time, India continues to buy oil from the Russia because it is working in its own self-interest, and every country's foreign policy is based upon mutual trust, but at the same time self-interest as well, right? So most significantly, in the more than dozen of resolutions at UNSC, UNGA, IAEA, Human Rights Commission and other multilateral platforms seeking to censor Russia for the invasion, India has chose to abstain from all of these resolutions. It has not given its vote regarding it. It has not gone in favor and against the favor, and India's stand is basically on the national interest, right? And the year was also marked in many ways for Indian diplomacy, which will be at the forefront in 2023 during the India's presidency at the G20 and the chairmanship of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which bring all the major leaders of the world to Delhi for the summits. Now India is having the G20 summit India is going to hold the G20 summit for the 2023, and this becomes very significant because India can work in its favor in this and bring about more peace in the world at the same time. And in 2022, India returned to free trade agreements after a hiatus of several years, when the Modi government had called for a review of all FTAs, scrapped all bilateral investment treaties and walked out of 15 nation Asian regional comprehensive economic partnerships. So we are looking more towards the FTAs, that is free trade agreements, and we are reviewing all of them, which will bring about more prosperity to the economy. And in 2022, India signed trade agreements with United Arab Emirates and the Australia, and hopes to progress on the talks with the European Union, Gulf Cooperation Council and Canada for others. And India has also joined the US-led Indo-Pacific Economic Forum, although it later decided to stay out of the trade talks and India at the G20 India is expected to highlight climate change transitions, women-led development and multilateral reform among the other key issues. So these were basically the major highlights of this year. Let's now talk about the neighborhood relations. So what about the ties with the neighbors? So basically, in the neighborhood, India's foreign policy was marked by economic assistance to the Sri Lanka because it is going through an economic collapse, or it has suffered the economic collapse. And it also saw some of the regional trade and energy agreements with Bangladesh, Bhutan as well as the Nepal. And apart from it, India has also strengthened its ties with the Central Asian countries on the connectivity. And basically, we have opened up our channels of talks with the Afghanistan's Taliban as well as the Myanmar's Janta, because we are basically, in the case of Myanmar, we are basically concerned about our borders, and that is why we need to open the talks with the Myanmar as well. So technical mission in Kabul we have also seen. We have also seen the sending of the foreign secretary to the Naypyidaw. So basically our foreign secretary did also visit the Myanmar, because we have to get the relations very straight, right? We have to bring about more certainty in the relations. And apart from it, this week India abstained on UNSC vote calling for Myanmar to end violence and release political prisoners. And with Iran too, where protest against the killing of the activist Mahsa Amini has brought thousands onto the street, India has steered clear of any kind of criticism. But with Pakistan, ties remain flatlined, and a big showdown at the United Nations this month between Mr. Jaishankar and Pakistan Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto was also seen, right? And apart from it, if we talk about the LAC standoff, then that has been a major issue. Now, despite a visit to Delhi by the China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi and disengagement at some standoff points, India-China tensions at the line of actual control remained high. And the year ended with an unsuccessful Chinese PLA attempted to take Indian post at Yangtze in Arunachal Pradesh. So Yangtze is basically in the Tawang district, right? And it is a very important point for India. And it has been in this particular points, Yangtze and the Tawang district has been in the news in the 1990s as well. And it has been in the 1960s also that this particular points were important for India. Now it signals more such violent clashes could be followed in the 2023. In 2023, we can also see some of these clashes because the clashes in the Yangtze point towards China's approach towards India, right? They are going to basically push us on the boundary front well in 2023 as well. This is what the clashes in the Yangtze signal us. Now the government took some heat from the opposition over its failure to hold an open debate in the parliament to discuss the LAC standoff that has been ongoing since April 2020, and especially after the Prime Minister Modi shook hands with the President Xi Jinping at the Bali G20 meet in November. There have been a lot of criticism regarding it as well. But regardless of the fraught state of ties, India is due to host Mr. Xi twice in 2023 at the G20 and the SCO summits, which could create opportunities for the talks to end the standoff. So what we need is more certainty regarding it, and the standoff should end at the earliest, so that both the nations can prosper, right? So this is it regarding this particular newspaper article. This was basically the complete analysis of what is happening on the Indian policy front in the foreign policy, right? So thank you from my side. Do like and share the video and subscribe to this channel. Have a good day. Bye.